fishing for Crimpy's Fishing Show.
This is Talk ZB. Welcome along to your Saturday morning and welcome back to the Fishing with Crimpy show. I'm Reagan and here's Mr. Daryl Crimp.
So kind of you to have me back. I understand you're a bit of a huge success storm while I was away.
A bit of a
According to your emails anyway. The best shows ever.
Pretty much the best shows ever. I mean, you know, James was pretty good. I was better.
Yeah.
But, you know, we handled it.
It's amazing. The people in the supermarket didn't say the same.
Didn't they?
No. So you've got a fan club of two.
Liars!
Well done.
Yes, no, thanks
Well,
for...
I thought you did tremendously well, and I don't see any point in me being here today. Why didn't you just continue?
What we considered doing is actually James and I ringing you and interviewing you.
You should have done it while I was in Australia. I have to say it was a good break, even though it was only a week.
Yep.
But a week in Australia is like a year anywhere else.
Yeah?
Yeah, some of those Aussies are rough around the gills, aren't they? Even the good ones.
Even the good
I kid you not. No,
Yep.
we went to a place called Albury. If you don't know where Albury is, it's a 5-hour drive from Sydney, but of course we didn't drive because the pilot wouldn't let us, and he got there in just under an hour in the plane. So it's right on the border between Victoria and New South Wales, about 3 hours from Melbourne, and a beautiful sort of farming community. Got off the plane and was instantly hit by not only the heat, but the sheep jokes.
Oh, really?
Kid you not. I thought they went out of vogue in 1970-something over here.
Yeah.
But they came thick and fast, sheep joke after sheep joke. So I got to the point where Colin Murray, who was hunting with me, looked at me and rolled his eyes, and I thought he was going to punch this guy. And I said, look, mate, I said, sheep jokes are one thing. I said, but do you want to hear an Aussie joke? I'd used this one on my father-in-law in the past. I thought I'll try it again. And he said, oh, yeah, cobber. And I said, we're at the pub having a meal.
Yep.
And I said, I'll tell you a good Aussie joke. He said, yeah. He said, well, think about it. He said, I'm an ex-bouncer, and he said, I've done jiu-jitsu.
Oh.
So I thought, he said, the barman there, he's twice your size. Sitting over there, he said, two of those boys play league, and they're very handy with their fists.
Yep. Sure
You want to tell an Aussie joke in front of us? And I said, nah, mate, not if I'm going to have to repeat it 4 times. He did not come up with another sheep joke for the rest of the trip.
Excellent.
But good hunting though, good breaks. I managed to score myself a trophy fallow.
Yep.
So I was pretty happy about that. It's in Auckland, getting quarantined at the moment.
Yep.
Just rang them, said you had to pay for it before they release it. $160.
Just to release the...
No, that's what it was going to cost. I said, you're kidding me. I got your rate card here. It says $15. Yeah, but you want it delivered to your house, don't you? And I said, no, I've got a mate picking it up. Oh, okay, that's cool. They'll only cost you $15. And I said, where's the rest coming? Oh, there's a surcharge on getting it to the South Island.
Right.
Jeez.
Right.
Some courier company's making good coin, aren't they?
Well, while you were out hunting...
I could have ridden it down to the South Island for less price than that.
While you were away hunting and shooting, there's some good fishing to be had here, Crimpy, and
Who cares?
Still plenty of snapper about.
I don't care.
What?
I was going to go fishing on the River Murray after a Murray cod.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, so we got the boat out. We went down there and got everything ready, and he drove home again. The river was too low.
Oh, right.
The Aussies control it. They've got floodgates.
Yeah.
And because it was Easter and everybody was going fishing, some mean little Aussie fart up there in the floodgates shut it all down so it was low river levels.
Oh.
Yeah, they like that, the Aussies. You can't trust them.
Yeah, you can't.
So, good fishing to be had.
Yep.
Plenty of snapper.
Plenty of snapper off Cable Bay if you're heading out that way. A lot of kayakers are getting fish out there, and heaps of kawai.
Yeah, I see that. People have been coming into the fishing paper from the Breakers Fishing Club, weighing them in all week. Jeff Holden had a good run out there on snapper and kawai, and so there's plenty out there at the moment. How are they catching them?
With a rod and a reel.
Excellent.
Good.
I can see why you were so popular while I was away.
No, I think it's soft baiting what they're doing.
Yeah. So now's the time before they head off for their winter grounds to get out there and get into some of that autumn fishing. When we come back, we have more on fishing, but it's freshwater. Who? A friend from the past, Tony Entwhistle, joins us next.
We'll also look at the tides. News Talk ZB, you're back with Fishing with Crimpy, and I must say a big thank you to everyone who turned up last Saturday at the GT Kentucky Demo Day down at Rabbit Island there from Sterling Sports. We had a great day, great few hours. Amazing machines, those. If you do want to see a GT Kontiki, go and have a look at one at Richmond Sterling Sports. They are very cool.
And they're getting popular, more and more popular all the time. Of course, you have to be aware of the tides if you're taking your GT Kontiki out, or if you're going out in your boat, or even indeed if you're going out in a kayak and you want to know what the high tides are. Well, around Nelson, 20 past 11 a.m, and it's a 4-metre tide. We've got the big ones this month. High tide at Havelock is 10 past 11. That's only a 3-metre one. Crissel's high tide 8 minutes past 11, so they're all around that 11s this morning. 4.3 a biggie. Stevens, your high tide, that tends to be small at 2.3, and you have to wait till 10 to 11 to catch that one. Westport, your high tide is 12.30. That's a 3-metre tide. And Greymouth, all the way down there on the coast, high tide at 25 past 12. That's 3.1. Now, as I promised, we're going freshwater. My special guest this morning, or my guest who is special, Tony Entwhistle, welcome back.
Crimpy, nice to be back, boy.
Are you sure about that?
Been a while.
It has been a while, but you've been on the show ever since it started, isn't it?
I can't remember back that far, Crimpy. That's too much of a test.
22 decades.
Whew, well,
So you didn't have...
I was back in the shop in those days, so yeah, it's getting back a bit all right.
So you're still out treading the hills, guiding?
Yep, yeah, not so much the hills, but out on the rivers and pounding a living one way or another.
Do you have to worry about the tide when you're chasing trout?
No, but the full moon kills it.
Is there it was a bit of a sick joke, but there is a correlation between sea fishing and freshwater fishing?
Yeah, no, I mean, the period after the full moon, just often plain tough. Not always, you can always get a fish or two, but you won't have your best fishing through that period.
What do you think it is about the full moon that affects the fishing?
I don't know, Crimpy. Years ago, I gave up trying to explain anything. I have a Mark Knopfler line. It's just what it is.
What about in the lead up to the full moon?
No, it can be good. Yeah. It's 10 days before the full moon as it builds up. Fishing starts to peak, and but you've got to bring into that other variables like the weather and any flooding and. We've had the big dry, which made fishing pretty tough for some people at one stage, and that changed the whole ball game.
Does the full moon come around at the same time every month? Is it the same time of each month?
No. What is it, 11.5 hours between tides, is it? So it gets a bit earlier every month.
See, I knew that.
Yeah. I'm sure you did, but you were just testing whether I knew it, and that's embarrassing.
No, I was just thinking,
I probably got
because
that wrong too.
I can never get, I can never remember, which parts of the moon are the best time to go fishing. I've got a theory that when the moon holds water, it's a good time to fish. And when when it's leaking water, it's a bad time to fish. So in other words, when the crescent's upside down, it's holding water.
No, my mate Zane Murphin, Zane's been big on the moon phase for years, and he got us to look more at it. And there's something in it, I mean, the bottom line is you make your living, you go out every day, so you go regardless, and you've got a job to do. And as anybody who doesn't have a lot of time for themselves will know, the best time to go fishing is when you can. Yeah. So it's just a matter of adapting.
Yeah, people get fixated too with bite times when they're sea fishing, and it's been proven that there is some correlation between the Maori bite time and when fish are active, but it's not something that you can set your calendar by. When you're trout fishing, are there any particular times during the day where they feed more than others, or do you just get out there and you flog the water?
No, very. Definitely related to water temperature through the day. So early in the season, for instance, pounding your way to the water at 6 o'clock in the morning and getting there at Sparrowfart may not be very productive, simply because the water temperature is cold. And then as it starts to move through the day, you see the fish sort of get into position, then they have a little sort out, and then a few start to feed, and then they'll go hard into their feeding period, and if you're around long enough, you'll watch them go off the feed again. In the summer, they may well be feeding at first light, and by the end of the day, the evening rise could be non-existent, just simply because the water is too warm. So there is definitely, a pattern to it, more specifically related to water temperature than anything else, I think.
All right, my guest this morning is Tony Entwhistle. If you've just joined us, we're talking freshwater fishing for a change. We're about to find out what's happening in the rivers around here and whether the season has been hot or not. We'll be back in just a moment.
Talk ZB, welcome back. Fishing with Crimpy.
And don't forget, if you want to get on the salt water, now's the time to get out there. Plenty of snapper around the traps. Kenneperu, Marlborough Sounds are firing as well, some big fish up in there. But the school fish are stacked up, ready to put on condition for their winter sojourn out in the deep water. And they'll take just about anything that's thrown at them at the moment. Tony, in terms of this season's trout fishery, how does it rate?
It's been pretty tough for most people in the second half of the season. It was a pretty good season up until early January when we got the big flood through January the 2nd. The heavy rain started, and that was quite a damaging flood, so it cut down the options. I mean, you get back into some of the backcountry rivers and they were almost unrecognisable in places. A lot of gravel being moved, a lot of debris from trees, and because it was quite a strong flood. As February went on, the fishing on places like the Motueka improved immensely. The Wongapeka has been great. The Wairea's been very, very good. The further south you go, the more intermittent it would fire for a week, and then the fish would seem to disappear. The trout move around a lot more than we give them credit for, so keeping up with them when there are broken populations been quite difficult. But on the plus side, the condition of fish has been exceptional, and you're averaging better than a 3.5 pounder in the Mott, plenty of 6 pounders, probably averaging 5 pound in the Wongapeka or better. And I know of fish over 8.5 pound. We've had them up to 8.5 pound ourselves caught. Bigger ones have been caught, and some really good ones moving in the Wairea. So,
if you're fishing the canals, you can get some up around 40 pound.
I got an email from an American mate, 42 pound something or other, a new world record was caught down there, brown trout. Incredible.
We got the story in the fishing paper. We broke it. We were first.
Yeah.
So, yahoo.
There
Done
you
something.
go.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an incredible fish. It's not what we do, but I don't think you'd catch them on a size 16.
You wouldn't get them in the Motueka.
Well, I don't think you get them that big, but there's certainly some big fish in the Mott. A friend whacked a 9 pounder out last weekend, and that's pretty special. But they're a fish over 10 pound in the Mott.
In terms of saltwater fishing, I mean, we've had a run over the last 3 seasons, particularly this season where there's been a lot of big snapper and a lot of people are getting record catches. We had the story of the guy who got the 30 pound snapper and then a 25 pound snapper on a kayak. The benchmark for snapper, 20 pound, is a trophy fish. What is it for trouties? What's the benchmark?
10 pounder.
Yeah.
It's the magic double digit fish, when in reality anything over about 8.5 pound. I kept pretty extensive records for years of length versus weight, and the graph really didn't diverge very much until you got to that 8.5 pound 27 inch mark, and then it could be anywhere from sort of 7 3/4, 8.5 pound through to even 10, 11 pound for an exceptionally fat fish. But 10 pounder is the magic double digit fish, and that's what we're all aspiring to get, 1 or 2 of those in our lifetime.
I noticed when you were talking about fish from different rivers, they seem to be size classes. So is it the river that makes the monster, or a combination of the food and the river, or is it
again,
the area?
I mean, you'd have to really go to the scientists to get a definitive answer, but some rivers traditionally hold and produce some bigger fish. I mean, the Wongapeka, Motueka fish are very much the same. Early in the season wasn't much happening in the upper Wongapeka. There was that big new lake formed in the winter floods in July last year, and it seemed to push the fish further downstream after the big slip blocked the river. And then they've, over the season, moved back, and they can only come from the Motueka, really. So food has a lot to do with it, location a little bit. Big fish move to favoured locations, and there are rivers, famous like the Branch River, say the Galter River, the Wongapeka, some of the West Coast rivers. Some rivers traditionally hold bigger fish, and yet they don't live there all the time. They move in from systems lower down, and go to these places that favour big fish. Maybe it's after spawning, they spawn in the headwaters or whatever, and hang on.
Very quickly before we go, does age have anything to do with it? How old's a 10 pound trout?
Probably anywhere from 3.5 to upwards. If they're going to get fat, really fat, and very quickly, they will do it quickly. They'll be young fish. But then it's a matter of holding, whether they can hold their weight.
All right, Tony, it's been a pleasure talking to you again. We'll have you back in the future. Don't know when, don't know where.
There you go, Crimpy.
But it's time for us to go. Don't forget the April issue is out now, so grab a copy and tuck in.